This week, I'm going to be telling you guys about scp-1471, commonly known as the furry SCP. In this video, I'm going to read you the original SCP file as well as a first-hand account of the SCP. If you're not familiar with SCP, the SCP Foundation is a fictional organization documented by the web-based collaborative fiction project of the same name. Within the website's fictional setting, the SCP Foundation is responsible for locating and containing individuals, entities, location, and objects that violate natural law, referred to as SCPs. The real-world website is community-based and includes elements of many genres such as horror, science fiction, and urban fantasy. And SCP stands for Secure, Contain, and Protect. This is a different type of video for me, so I hope you enjoy it, and let me know in the comments section what you think about this style of video and about the SCP itself. We will begin by reading a first-hand account by a person named William of his SCP-1471 experience that he named Capone. I was scared when I first saw him. It happened just as you told me. The messages, the pictures, seeing him around every corner afterwards. I was so young. Who wouldn't have lost it? William sighed. By then, he was over the creature following him. It wasn't like it was going away, no matter how much he begged or pleaded or attempted to bribe. He knew that the best and only solution would be just to get used to Capone being there. At least he had the solace of knowing he wasn't going insane. Believe me, William, I know many people have reacted the same way. Fear is a more common reaction to the unknown than you'd think. Dr. Laura Bryans consoled him. These cases weren't exactly common, but they were commonly known. It's not even that I'm afraid anymore. I mean, he makes me jump when I see him in the morning. I don't think I'll ever get used to that. It's just the bad connotations he has, William rebutted. I know that he does, but it happened 2 years ago. I know it's hard for you, especially with your shadow, but you need to carry on, Dr. Bryans stated. William just sighed and continued. Our session is almost up. We've made real progress, William. I want you to do something for me when you get home. Do you have any homework or anything? I did it all on my break. Good. When you get home, I want you to think back to your first experience and write as much as you feel comfortable sharing. Is that all right? Yeah. Thanks for seeing me. It wasn't too long a drive from the doctor's office home. 5, possibly 10 minutes, if there was a train. He always saw the creature through the rear-view mirror when he drove, riding in the back seat. It looked innocent in its own alien way, waving to William as he saw it. Despite everything, William found himself talking to it, like one would talk to a dog or cat about their day when they're alone. It seemed to listen when he talked, and after a while, he could swear that it understood. It's hard to tell with a face like that, so all there were to go by were various head tilts and waves, and even then, he had to teach it how to wave. At least I know you're interested. Drop the backpack near the door, go to the patio, wave to Capone from the mirror, fridge, drink, chair, crash. William's afternoon routine was more clockwork than it should be. He thought back to the session with Dr. Bryans. She wanted me to try to recapture the experience when I first saw him, huh? William mumbled as he grabbed a few sheets of paper and pen. Bit by bit, he placed together the sequence of events that led up to this point. I've had Capone with me ever since I was 15 years old. I remember that my 21-year-old sister Sarah brought up an app that she downloaded earlier at the dinner table one night. She had no idea how to use it, but hazarded a guess that it tracks you through your phone's GPS and sends you pictures of the places you've been with a really cute monster placed in the photo to make it look like it's following you. It didn't seem that weird. I recall that Google Maps could get a decent ground photo at the time, so just add Photoshop to that and you have a gimmick. Plus, we knew it couldn't be a virus. The App Store checks every app for things like that before peddling it. The only thing I found legitimately off at the time was that it was both free and adless. Her explanation of it sounded pretty cool to me, so I asked Sarah to help me download it on my phone. She told me that while my old hand-me-down flip phone did have something like an app store, it most likely didn't have Mallow. Didn't stop her from looking, though. Sarah was a good sister. She really could have just told me to get out of her hair, but she always took the time of her day for me, packing my lunch, playing with me, bringing me to R-rated movies that I was clearly too young for. I was lucky to have her as a legal guardian when the parents went away. I was too young to process it all when it happened, but Mom and Dad died from a head-on collision with a drunk driver. Sarah took care of me as my legal guardian up until I moved out for college. God knows where I'd be if she didn't. After some prodding, she found the app, which was a surprise to the both of us. It was obvious that my phone didn't have any kind of GPS, but neither of us even thought about it until much, much later. Soon enough, I received my first picture. I'll never understood the way Sarah saw the world, if that was her idea of cute. The photo was taken in my school's courtyard, with the creature I'd soon call Capone sitting on one of the benches. You could barely see him, but there he was, covered in his black matted fur, with his knife-like claws, a set of blank, pure white eyes. and the face, which was merely a skull belonging to some kind of large beast, looking directly at us with that large, wolfish grin. I gave the phone back to Sarah, telling her how terrifying it was and that I didn't want the messages anymore. She just jokingly punched my shoulder, saying, "Oh, don't be such a baby. It's too cute. Look how happy he is just to meet you." I looked back at his face, his wide grin specifically. I have to admit, I laughed at that. It was just the sheer wrongness of that statement that made me want to listen to the next. I'm sure he'll grow on you eventually. Tell you what, if you can put up with him for one whole week, we'll go see that movie you really wanted to see. If he still gives you nightmares, we'll delete it. If you end up liking it, we'll laugh about it later. Deal? I looked at the picture again. It appeared that getting a photo every now and then was the extent that this was going to go to, and looking at it in hindsight, I probably would have kept it on for next to nothing if she really wanted me to, so I agreed. Sarah was ecstatic after that and assured me that I wouldn't regret it while showing me some of her own pictures. She only had 3 so far. One at her office, one at the park, and another on the road we lived on, each picture containing her clearly visible entity. I must have looked nervous or something because she suggested that I name mine like she did with her, Cassandra. I thought about it for a bit. Let me make something clear though, because it seems to come up whenever I tell people this. I did not name my Mallow Capone because of the incidents with my parents. I didn't even know that my mom and dad's arrest involved alcohol at the time. I named him after a history lesson I found amusing in school where people's fear got the best of them. And as my teacher put it, it ended up doing more harm than good. It was intended as a reminder that I shouldn't be making the same mistake. I saw a bit of light in this whole thing after giving it a mock title, and I thought it wasn't going to be that bad. I went to bed, and my normal life went on just for a little while longer. I continued to get pictures of Capone for a while, following me at school, the bus stop, my street, virtually everywhere I went. It wasn't until the 3rd or 4th day when I got called in from class. I was thinking that I was in trouble or something, even if I didn't know what, but as soon as I saw Sarah, that feeling was stifled. She looked very shaken. The instant she saw me, she immediately yanked my arm and brought me to the car. Sarah was not looking good at all. She kept on asking questions about Capone, things like if I saw him or if I received any photos from him with me in the images. I haven't checked anything from today, but when I checked, there were 2. I remembered exactly when and where those messages were taken, because during them, I made a mental note that I got some texts from Capone. They've been sent as soon as they've been taken. Sarah knew that we were being pursued by something. She probably had no idea what they were, and I knew that she had no idea how they were doing it, but she knew that they knew where we lived. She couldn't figure out how to delete it. She said she tried everything, but couldn't find a way to get it off. She couldn't even find where the app went. I'm not even sure what we were planning to do, but before we could even fully plan a course of action, I got another text. Sarah froze and stared at me, as if to say, "Don't look at it." If I didn't, I could have a semi-normal life right now. It would have been over the news within a week, and we would have known. But I did it. I opened the phone, and there we were, just sitting there, with that fear-stricken look on her face. The photo was clearly taken from the hood of a moving car, giving us a clear view of what was behind us. He took up most of the back seat and towered over me. We both turned around, preparing to scream at the monstrosity behind us, but when we did, the seat was empty. We didn't know what was happening or what to make of it, but we felt that the only thing to do was run away, abandoning the car. We hastily ditched the car, ran the rest away to the apartment, and locked the door behind us. We locked ourselves in the bathroom and waited. We just stayed there. Even when we got a message from Cassandra Capone, Sarah would scream at them, asking why they were following us, and begged for us to be left alone. We felt helpless against them. All we felt we could do was just sit in the bathroom and hope they would go away. The room felt like our safe haven until we were exposed to them for too long. Sarah started to panic, saying that she kept seeing one of them behind her. I wasn't seeing it though. I was more concerned about trying to calm her down by telling her that maybe they weren't really there than I was about seeing Capone in the mirror. I convinced Sarah that we needed to leave the room out of necessity. We couldn't stay in the apartment forever, and if they wanted to get us, they would have done so already. We called the police, and here we are. We both got help, but I was the lucky one. Everyone's case was different in terms of interaction, but for me, Capone was always in a mirror or some reflective thing large enough to show him. He was predictable, and I could find ways to block him out when I needed it. I learned how to expect Capone, and after a while, he kind of grew on me. I used to have a makeshift curtain that I would pull over the mirrors when I didn't want to see him, but I started using the curtain less and less as time went on. Capone always seemed to try to interact with me, even if he didn't understand what he was trying to say most of the time. I started to greet Capone with a casual wave as I passed by him from the living room mirror, and eventually he started to wave back. He kind of became a constant companion to me, and I adjusted Capone just as he adjusted to me. My case wasn't as severe as Sarah's. She saw Cassandra everywhere she looked. Around every corner, just out of sight, over her while she slept. Sarah took her own life 2 years ago. I wanted to blame Mallows for it, but I can't. Following the person who looks at their messages is just what they do. Now, every time I see Capone, I'm reminded of what I did in the car that day. I knew I shouldn't have picked up that text. If I didn't, she would still be here. It was almost 4 hours since William started writing, but he almost felt relieved. He's never actually told anyone about this in such detail before. The majority of what happened was kept between himself and Capone. He looked up to the creature in the mirror from across the room for a few seconds, as it gave the old, familiar wave. William was silent for a minute, staring at Capone, and then back to his papers. He felt the need to make one last point. But then again, how would I have known? I don't know who made the Mallows or why. I don't even know if anyone actually made the app. Many things like it have been created naturally or have been given some kind of anomaly out of sheer chance. It would make so much sense if some physical thing was to blame, but there's none that I can legitimately find. None on the Mallows, none on me. Just by chance. Archival Document 1471-01. Note: SCP-1471 as posted on application stores. Mallow, version 1.0.0. Free! Reviews: 0. Description: 4. Redacted. Never settle for those awkward feelings of being alone ever again. Mallow is an exciting and interactive experience that will keep you engaged and intrigued. The anxiety of social situations can be nerve-wracking, but after just a few hours of Mallow, you will soon forget all those painful emotions of disappointment. Be part of a new craze that is quickly becoming the next social substitute. Remember, the more you participate, the more Mallow will engage you. Your experience is completely up to you. Absolutely no ads. Enjoy. Item number SCP-1471. Object Class: Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. All mobile devices that have SCP-1471 installed are to be confiscated and analyzed for any potential leads to other possibly affected devices. Afterwards, affected devices are to have their batteries removed, be assigned a designation, example, SCP-1471-number, and be placed in a storage unit 91 at Research Site 45. All online application stores for mobile devices are to be monitored to prevent any inadvertent sales of SCP-1471. Suspected devices are to be targeted using self-uploading malware in order to disable the device until it can be seized by field agents. Description: SCP-1471 is a free 9.8 megabyte application for mobile devices named Mallow, version 1.0.0, in online application stores. SCP-1471 has no listed developer and is somehow able to bypass the application approval process to go directly to distribution. SCP-1471 is also able to avoid removal by other program manager applications. After SCP-1471 is installed, no icons or shortcuts are created for the application. SCP-1471 will then begin to send the individual images through text messaging every 3 to 6 hours. All images will contain SCP-1471-A, either within the background or the foreground. SCP-1471-A appears as a large humanoid figure with a canid-like skull and black hair. During the first 24 hours following the installation of SCP-1471, the mobile device will receive images taken at locations commonly frequented by the individual. After 72 hours, the mobile device will receive images taken of the individual in real time, with SCP-1471-A appearing with close proximity to the subject. Individuals with less than 90 hours of exposure to these continuous images will begin to briefly visualize SCP-1471-A within their peripheral vision, reflective surfaces, or a combination of the two. Continued exposure to SCP-1471 after this point will cause irreversible and sustained visualizations of SCP-1471-A. Individuals at this stage have reported periodic attempts made by SCP-1471-A to visually communicate with them, but fail to understand or comprehend these actions. Currently, the only known treatment to reverse SCP-1471's effect is to eliminate the individual's visual exposure to these images prior to 90 hours after installation. To date, no apparent hostile activity has been reported regarding SCP-1471-A. And that is all the information on SCP-1471. I chose this because it is commonly known as the furry SCP, and there's a lot of fan art of it out there, and it basically created the Skulldog-like community, as far as I know. Skulldogs were SCP-1471, and I personally had no idea, and it's really funny because I ran into that Skulldog image, and I put it on the scariest fursuit images of all time, but I found the image on Fur Affinity. I had no idea it was SCP-1471. I thought that was really cool. But again, This is a different style video. I understand it's not for everybody, but I really like SCPs. I find them fun, I find them interesting, and it's a really creative outlet for people. And if you like this video, be sure to check me out on Patreon at patreon.com/OdenWolf. It is the best way to support me, and it's how I can keep doing videos for you guys every single week. I really appreciate every single bit of support. And another way to support me is to buy my merch at odenwolf.storeenvy.com. It's really good stuff. I know you'll like it. Check it out. And you can send me stuff to my P.O. box if you want. It's right there on the screen in the description. Anyway, it's been Odenwolf, and don't install Mallows. Bye-bye. And as always, I want to thank my patrons, especially Timmy at the triple diamond tier last month. Thank you so much for your enormous support, Timmy. You already know you're the absolute best. And everybody at Diamond, Lindsay, Slipbox Socks, Conlo, DH, and Deku Panda, thank you all for your diamond support last month. 5 enormously generous people, and I cannot thank you enough. And everybody at Platinum, Tyrannus, Lurch, Wolf Medic, Soren Mello, Kopi, Blue the Cat, Charles C, Trax, Tars, Xenon, Dante Wolf, Terra, Lexi Fox, Dynamo, Tantanka, and Wilyafa. Thank you so many of you guys for your Platinum support last month. Like, for real, it's crazy. I cannot believe how many you are. And everybody at Gold, Silver, and other tiers. Thank you so much for making unusual videos like these possible.